Okay, so just so everyone knows, we are recording. If you prefer not to be recorded, then we're happy to see you, but you don't have to stay.
It's a nice way to put it, David.
Yeah, I'm not sure how else to address that, but
I was interested. I was waiting for that.
Yeah, but we definitely want you all to know that this meeting is being recorded. So we don't want to record you to be included if you don't want to be included. Okay. So we're good with the July. You said that, Lauren. What did you say about July minutes?
So the July minutes I'll have at the next meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then let's move forward to citizen comments, and we're following a new protocol, and it looks like anyone who does want to speak, please update your name, your full name, so that's that it's in the Zoom meeting, your full name is spelled out.
And you can do that by clicking on the participants button, and then there should be an option next to your name that says more or something like that, and you can rename yourself there.
And who we know did sign up is Margaret. Margaret, welcome. Do you want to say anything tonight?
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm on my husband's giant, like multiple screens here, so I can't really figure out where to look. I'm Margaret Cassidy. I've lived in Lake Forest Park for, I don't remember how many years, like probably 18, 20 years, and lived in Shoreline in Seattle before that. I should have said first, I hopped on the meeting because I applied to be a member of your tree board. And so I just wanted to say hello and let you put a face to the application. So as I said in my application, I don't have any special knowledge to bring. I'm just a garden and tree lover, and occasionally complain about trees being cut down, or wonder if my neighbor who topped their tree knows that there's actually better ways to take care of it. And I thought I need to stop complaining or wondering and volunteer to do my part to do something constructive. So hopefully if you could use just kind of a homeowner, non-specialist, non-professional perspective, I would be happy to join if you can use me.
Great. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you for applying and also for just being here tonight and introducing yourself. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure that Tim and Julia do as well. And a little bit later, I think Lauren will talk a little bit about next steps in terms of the people who have applied for the tree board.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
I
you.
had a question, and that is, Margaret, what section of Lake Forest Park do you live in?
I'm in Sheridan Heights.
Oh, okay.
So kind of up the hill from Brookside and up the hill from Bothell Way, the town center, kind of in that triangle.
Did you get a city tree by any chance last fall?
I didn't, and I actually didn't know about it. I knew afterwards, so that was something that inspired me too. I was thinking I like doing kind of outreach education things, and I thought, maybe I can help them spread the word about these things even more.
Yeah, I think I would have remembered your name.
I've admired my neighbors' street trees.
Oh, good.
And Carl is one of my neighbors who I think was working on the street tree program. Carl.
Yeah.
Cook.
Yes.
So. Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
I think someone who's interested in education and outreach would be an excellent addition to the board.
Thank you.
Me too.
The only the caveat, besides my lack of special knowledge, is that I normally work as a tour guide in Europe. So obviously I am unemployed for the time being. If I even get to resume my work in 2021, I'm usually gone for about a month in the spring and another month in the fall. So I understand if you guys decide that missing a couple meetings out of the year is not good. So.
Not a problem, because we all miss meetings.
We're all guilty of that.
Okay. Thank you. I'll go ahead and mute myself.
Just so you know, Margaret, and anyone else who's on the call this evening who's interested in being on the tree board, Tim, excuse me, and Julia and I have been on the tree board since the very initiation of the board, and Lauren, of course, has been with us for a good number of years now at this point as well, right, Lauren?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 years in August. Mm-hmm.
It's August.
It is August. Yes. So. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we could go ahead and open up since we only Margaret, you're the only one who signed up. If there's anyone else who would like to share anything, please. I can't remember. What do we do? I usually use Teams. Do we flag?
I think you can raise your hand.
Raise your hand. There it is. Yes, I see it.
Yeah.
And Lauren, I'll let you go ahead and unmute,
Okay.
share whatever you need to do as a host.
Mm-hmm. I am still learning Zoom as well. So if
What do you guys
anybody,
usually use in the city? Do you use Zoom or something else?
yeah, we use Zoom for
Okay.
like department meetings and council meetings. So, mm-hmm. Yeah, if anybody else would like to make a public comment, feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself. As
I just figured out how to unmute myself. And I had my video off because I was eating dinner. But I was here. I'm Doug Sprugel. I was sat in on the last meeting, and I'm interested in being part of the tree board, and I still am.
All right.
Most of you heard about me last meeting, so I won't repeat it.
Thanks for being here again.
It's all right. I wanted to let Doug know that I followed up on his reference the last time he met with us to Bob Edmonds, and then Bob Edmonds to some other helpful people. So that was good information, Doug.
Good.
Yeah.
Can I say a short piece here? My name's Marty Byrne. I've also applied for one of the tree board positions. I live in the area of Lake Forest Park near the county line, near the old Aldercrest School, if you know where that is.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for applying, Marty, and your interest.
My interest, I don't have any specific interests. I have a horticulture background. I'm a master gardener. And so trees are kind of a part of it.
Yeah, no, I was just thanking you for your interest.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Where do you live? I don't know where that school was.
Oh, it's, I live on 32nd Avenue, and it's about 6 blocks from the county line at 204th.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. You're not that far from me.
Okay.
I'm up by Horizon View.
Ah,
Anyone else? Okay. We'll go ahead and move on then.
Oh, it looks like we did just have Joe join us. He's connecting to the audio, it looks like.
Okay.
Joe also applied to be on the tree board as well. So welcome, Joe. We just finished our public comment, or we're almost finished with our public comment portion. If you would like to say anything or introduce yourself, you can feel free to unmute yourself. There you go. Oh, still got to unmute it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Joe Monda. I'm tree. I applied for the tree board position, and I live in Shoreline, but really near Lake Forest Park, and I cruise through Lake Forest Park all the time and go to a lot of the parks down there area. So I just logged on, so I missed the beginning, but it'd be nice if you guys chose me. I love trees.
I think it's up to the mayor. It's not up to us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's great that all these people have joined the meeting who have applied. You know, that shows a some enthusiasm there. I appreciate it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
yeah, I'll just go ahead and be a little bit out of order, but the next step with the application process is the mayor will review everyone's applications and choose to do some Zoom interviews. And so I'll work with you guys to figure out the schedule on that and keep you guys posted as things are updated.
And Lauren, do you know what the timeline is by chance?
So yeah, that's a good question. So I'm still thinking that the Zoom calls will happen in the next couple weeks or so, as I'm coordinating with the mayor. And then the step after that would be that the chosen, once we choose people after the Zoom interviews, then they would need to be confirmed at a city council meeting.
Right.
So, and the next council meeting is tomorrow night, which is too soon, or September 10th.
Which would be perfect. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So moving
And
forward.
of course, we have our tree climbing initiation exercise. No, never mind. I'm out of order.
We could talk about that later, Tim.
Yeah.
So our next meeting, virtual meeting, is scheduled for September 2nd. Tim, Julia, do you foresee any issues with that date?
Not at this time.
Not at this time.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so we'll keep it at that date. Well, we'll reach out to Gordon and Richard to make sure it works for them, but they didn't indicate that it wouldn't, so.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So communications. Lauren, do you have any communications this evening for us?
No major updates or anything.
Okay. I do want to thank you for sending the data that you sent to us.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to, we last month we talked about, I asked Lauren to break down the numbers between, who's asking for tree permits. Is it, what are the numbers between the developers versus homeowners? And actually, do you want to walk through those numbers?
Yeah, I was gonna go ahead and pull that up here. Okay, so I'll try and zoom in a little bit so it's bigger. Okay, well that's as big as I can get it, but
I think it's fine.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you had it for a second there. It got bigger.
Oh, wait. Okay. Okay,
There we go.
there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for waiting with me while I figured that out. Okay. So last year we had about 170 permit applications, and 12 of these, from a quick run through of, like, I already had the Excel sheet with all the permits and going through the application names and the addresses and the data. Those 12 are the big ones that jumped out to me just by their name and the numbers. So there may be a few ones that I missed, but these were 12 ones where it was a new single family home, or my second bullet point here, 2 of these 12 was the city had to remove some trees on 2 residential properties where they were doing the L60 culvert update.
What's L60 culvert?
It's a culvert for McAleer Creek, I think. And so, like, helping it flow more. Maybe Mark knows a better way to describe it.
Well, it's actually Lion Creek, and it's
Lion Creek.
178th Street, where Lion Creek passes under 178th Street.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's correct. It is Lion Creek.
Okay. So yeah, I found that basically 7% of the applications were for new homes or major projects like this, And of those 12 applications, landmark trees removed were about a quarter of all landmark trees that were removed throughout the year were by these larger projects. And a landmark tree is any tree that's over 24 inches in diameter. For significant trees, which are, you can see the number difference in the total, there's many more significant trees were removed than landmark trees. And significant trees are defined as anything between 6 inches diameter and 24 inches diameter. And that diameter is measured at 4.5 feet above the ground. So with significant trees, the new homes or large projects made up 35% of all significant trees removed. And then if you combine these categories of, and just look at, of every tree removed, the large projects were removing about a third of every tree, a third of all the trees removed. But then it's kind of cool that of the 12 applications, they're responsible for a little more than a quarter of all the replacement trees that will eventually grow to 17,850 square feet or so. So yeah, that's the data that I found.
How does that
Yeah.
strike you, David, given what your concern was about, this question?
Well, I think that there's, I think Lauren had a very good perspective on this last time we talked about it, is that the public community, our community typically thinks that the majority of trees that are being brought down is because of new development. And, this data definitely proves that incorrect. And so I think the opportunity, as we discussed, is educating our community on the importance of the tree ordinance and doing a lot more. There's an opportunity for doing a lot more outreach. So, what do you think, Tim? I think it's.
Well, does it make sense that people might presume that it may be, given these numbers, that they don't really begin paying attention until they notice the kind of proportionality of tree removals that is represented in contractor
Right
versus others. So it gives the impression there's a lot of contractor work going on.
Exactly.
When we know now that, now it's a small percentage, but per, application, there's a larger number of trees involved usually.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that actually, I mean, and I'm not saying that this is the truth, I'm just suggesting that, that the majority of the trees are coming down by homeowners.
Yeah. And it's just a few here and a few there.
Exactly. But
yeah, it adds up.
Yeah, it's interesting. Lauren, thank you for putting that together.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. I think it speaks to both. You can see why people have the perception that they have, but then it also helps bring to light, the context of the situation.
Uh-huh.
So, and the broader picture. So I think it was useful. So.
Yeah, me too.
Lauren, do you have any sense of what percentage of those, let's say, homeowner applications were for building extensions onto a house, and how many were just like the one we took out, the tree's dead, or like in our case, the tree was overlapping our house? Is it, just little things like that, or slightly larger homeowner sized projects?
Yeah, I would say, the number 12 here is very large projects where like new homes are being built. But of the remainder, I would say, a large section of the remaining, so the 170 doesn't take into account dead trees. That's important to note, because dead trees don't require a permit to be removed. And then of the remaining number of those 170, most people are removing trees because, maybe they're scared of it, or they, want to do a small deck addition, and the tree is not in the ideal location, or it's too close to the house. So In the remainder, I'd say there's a broad number of factors why people choose to come in to remove it, so, or apply to remove it.
I guess I'm just remembering, a few years ago there was a big kerfuffle because somebody wanted to expand their house up somewhere up the hill from me, and they had too many landmark trees and they couldn't do it. And it wasn't a big project, but they wanted to move their house around or expand it or something like that. And just wondering how typical that situation and how many of it is really just very small scale things, like, as I say, the tree I took out that was leaning in the house.
Right. Yeah, I would say most of them are the more small scale. If I'm thinking of the one you're referencing, we actually ended up having to change the code to help it be less restrictive for situations like that house that, kind of wanted to keep a part of their house and do an extensive addition or remodel. And then I noticed, Mike D, you raised your hand, so feel free to unmute yourself.
Thank you. I was just wondering if the database that they talked about doing before you got on board, maybe it's on board now, is available for people to be able to look at those applications. Thank you.
Yeah, so we do have the permit portal on the city website, and that has been there since, I want to say, January or maybe before. And that probably doesn't have I don't know what the data download capabilities are, but if you wanted to search for a house and see if they had a permit, you can do that with the permit portal. So if you wanted to do research using the permit portal, you could, but I'm not sure in terms of like analytics, how much a normal person could glean from looking at the permit portal.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Julia, did you want to say anything about that?
No, I'm sort of heartened by it a little bit. That it's kind of not as bad as we thought, maybe.
Uh-huh.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Lauren, do you mind going back to our agenda?
No problem. I can do that. Okay.
Yeah, well, let's make sure we, you send it out to Gordon and Richard. It'd be interesting to hear what they think about that as well. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go to old business. KCD Urban Forestry Grant update.
Yeah, so the King Conservation District grant has two prongs. One is a forest restoration plan for residents along McAleer Creek. And so we got the update that Kirk Hansen from Northwest, let's see what the name was.
Environment.
From Northwest Natural Resources Group is working with the private residents to do site visits in the next few weeks or so to help put together that forest restoration plan. So that's one prong. And then the second prong of the KCD grant is the Grace Cole Park, like educational classes. And obviously that is still postponed until, class type environments can be safely resumed.
Right.
So probably next spring is what we're thinking.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, could I ask, I want to pay attention to these because I need to report to the council, I think, at the next meeting.
Okay.
I have to talk to the council about tree board activities in a couple of meetings. So could you just mention, Laura, the amounts again for those two KCD projects?
Yeah, so I actually can share the annual report where we made a list of that. So, oh, okay, it looks like the amounts aren't here, my bad. But I can email you the exact amounts, but I think it's like 45,000 and 63,000.
Well, the 45,000 is my grant.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't think either of the KCD ones are that amount.
Okay. I can double check that.
Seems to me I remember an amount of like 88,000,
Yeah.
something
I'm
of that
pulling-
order for the KCD stuff.
Yeah. So, okay, I found it. So the McAleer Creek Forest Stewardship is for 59,250, and the Community Forest Stewardship Program with the Grace Cole is 88,500. Oh, I'm sorry. 29. Wait.
I thought that sounded high.
Yeah. Okay, it's 29,250, and then the total for both grants is 88,500.
Okay, thank you.
So
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We should go ahead and put those amounts in the annual report before we send it out.
yeah. hmm
Okay. Anything else about that?
That was it for me. And Mark, I can send you that document that I found those numbers in.
Okay, that would be good. Thank you.
hmm
Okay. And then the King County Waterworks grant update, Julia.
Yeah, we had a major miscommunication between me and Lauren and the people doing the work. I emailed them and said, you need to do these things, and they thought we should be doing them, and then they thought Lauren should be doing them, and Lauren thought they should be doing it, or I should be doing it, and it was a bit of a kerfuffle. I did speak this morning. I sent out another somewhat imperious email yesterday to Applied Ecology that's doing the work, and I got a call from the owner today, and I think he's been in communication with Lauren since. The concern is to get a contract drawn up, and they say, well, we won't do a contract. We were not going to get our right-of-way permit or our business license until we have a contract. So they've been waiting for us to send them a contract, and until 2 weeks ago, I didn't even know we needed a contract because when Earth Corps did it, Bill Brousseau took care of all those details with the city. So I haven't had a chance to check in with Lauren since I emailed her today, but I'm hoping that Justin has contacted her and she's referred him to whoever in the city generates these contracts. Once the contract is signed, then they will go ahead and schedule. So I'm hoping to get it done in August, but it can probably still be done in September.
Yeah, so I did hear from Justin, and I'm gonna work tomorrow to get the documents in order and get that going. So
okay, do you have to do that, or is there someone else there? I mean, since I had no input on it before because Bill took care of it, I'm wondering what you have to do or who has to do it.
yeah, I was gonna coordinate with Steve and make sure that the right procedures followed, but I think I'll use the Earth Corps contract as a template and work from that to create something, and then we'll probably have to have it reviewed by Steve or someone else as well. So
yeah, and then once you have it, then you send it. I think at that point they add their costs and send it back, and then it gets approved, hopefully.
that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. Or do you need the costs ahead of time to make up the contract? I guess that's my question.
Yeah. I can look into that tomorrow, but
Yeah,
probably.
if you would. We're a couple of weeks behind where I hope to be because, again, we lost a week last week when they didn't reply to my email at all, which I found peculiar because they just didn't. But they were wondering what we were doing. So hopefully we'll get this all online for going later in August or early September. All we're doing initially is invasive removal. We're not doing any planting this year in any case. So it's not terribly, the timing's not too crucial. We just want to get to it while we're still in warm weather.
Sounds good.
And Julia, you said the amount of that was 45,000?
Yeah, total. That's not the contract with them, that's the total grant. The contract the estimate that they had given me previously was for just under 30,000. When I talked to them today, I told them to bump it up to using 35,000 of the grant. That still gives us 10,000 for buying plants and for some contingencies in the future. And their bid did include some planting as well. So, but I think we'll need more than what they estimated. Does that make sense, Mark?
It does. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Julia, the kerfuffle was just about the contracting. They didn't know who.
Contracting is related to scheduling, because I was hoping to have it done in the next couple of weeks, but that didn't happen. So, but as Justin pointed out, they're mostly treating ivy, and it kind of doesn't really matter when you treat that.
Makes sense.
Yeah, my only concern is that there are enough leaves on the native plants for them to recognize them. They're going to go in, the first thing they're going to do is go in and make some survival circles around any of the natives. There are a lot of vine maple in there and some other bushes and shrubs. And they want to go in and, mark those and clear around them so that they're not spraying them. Okay?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you, Julia. And I apologize you had to experience that.
Yeah. Well, I have been losing a little sleep over the whole thing.
Yeah, I bet. I guess it's all learning though, right?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure how much I have to learn at this point in my life.
That's
I
what
was thinking maybe I was retired, but apparently not.
You're a lifelong learner, as they say.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so preparation for 2020 tree inventory.
Gordon,
Laura,
sorry.
oh, go ahead.
I
Go
was
ahead,
just going to say the one before that, the tree canopy report update.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I'm working with Gordon to set up a time where we can have a Zoom call with Chris Overdorf, who did the study, and Gordon and Chris can talk shop about the methodology and make sure that we're all on the same page. And then hopefully Gordon's going to come by tomorrow at noon to look at the inventory data from last time, or from the last inventory, and then also get a copy of the GIS files so that they're in multiple places.
Okay. Great. So we'll finally be able to close that up, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Yes, very good. So that's all for those two, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll talk about that more at the next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
What I was wondering is, did you get any kind of an update from Gordon about, the tree inventory at this point? I know we had to work on a job description if we were going to use any interns. That was
Right.
one thing.
Yeah, I haven't heard any formal updates from Gordon on that yet.
We'll do this. When you see him tomorrow, make it clear to him that if he could use, I'm happy to carve out time to help him do something if he could use me to move something along.
Okay.
It relates to getting the inventory going. I realize, we're very dependent upon Gordon's expertise on this, but I want to make sure that he's not feeling like he's, he's doing it all, when there's some of it maybe, one of the rest of us, particularly me, because I'm interested in it, could help him do. So just
Sounds
reinforce
good.
that with him when you see him, that, ask him, is there something else that like Tim could do, so that we're not wondering, what's going on and waiting for him to do some things.
Okay, sounds good. I will let him know that you're willing to help, and I'm sure he'll appreciate that. So
I wonder, Tim, do you want, Lauren, is it appropriate if Tim joins that call? Tim, if you want to, if you join the call with Chris and Gordon and Lauren as well.
Well, I don't know if it's strictly about the data set connected to the tree canopy. I don't know how much help I'll be with that, or how much how much it'll help me try to connect to the tree inventory project. But
Okay.
That's something. Yeah, I'm pretty much a Luddite when it comes to data sets and things. If it's field work we're talking about, then that's a different thing.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Well, I can keep you posted, Tim, on when it's scheduled for, and
Yeah.
we can.
And I'm going to come back to this when we talk about street trees too.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. Should we go to the annual report draft?
Yep.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. So I found a few things, and Tim, I emailed you right before the meeting, but I think we can update this table with the new terms, because the tree board members can serve, I think, 2 terms.
Okay.
And then for the people that have left the board, I think we can just say like that their status is retired such and such date.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, we can update that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And maybe place the retired individuals at the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that we're thinking anything less of them. It's just that I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Should we put those figures in you were just looking for?
Yeah, that would be great too. So
And are they the same figures? Were we looking for the right things when we were looking at the annual report?
Yeah, so it would be in this section that we would want to add the amounts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I can resend you that document as well.
Remind me again, Julia, the Waterworks portion was how much?
45.
25.
45.
Oh, 45. And the conservation district piece?
Those ones were a total of 88,500.
Okay.
And I'll email you the document with the breakdown.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So with those changes, with the figures, the numbers for the grants and the membership changes, can we close this up? Can we vote on this and send it out to the council?
Just need a motion. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I move that we approve this for referral to the council.
I second that.
Okay, and I agree. So Tim, will you make those updates and then
I'll make the updates and then return it to Lauren, I guess.
and Lauren, you will submit it for us?
I can do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or actually, how I can't remember how we did that in the past. Did I send it over to the council or did you?
Well, you got Garbly again there, but
who sent it to the council was the question. David.
I think it may make more sense for David, for you and Tim to send it as the chair and vice chair.
Makes sense. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that.
Oh, still Garbly. Is it Garbly for anyone else or just okay?
Single K.
It's still.
Sound like Darth Vader.
Good.
Okay. I can go back to the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, so David, your mic's still kind of troublesome.
Sounds like there's something dragging over it or something like that.
Okay. So we can go to the
Pre-code
memo.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I seem to show all windows. Here we go. Sorry, I have too many screens open. Okay. So this is the memo that we drafted for council that would go with the suggested code changes. So
Yeah, the detailed document, right?
Yeah. Oh no. It's still pretty bad.
Sounded like a car.
Sorry, David. Yeah. Julia, did you have any comments on the?
I didn't see anything. It was pretty much what we had approved before, which seemed fine to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't corroborate these policy numbers that are on the memo with the same numbers on the detailed document. I assume they all line up.
You mean these numbers?
Yeah, I didn't double check that, that all was well aligned and corresponded between the two documents. So I may have done that, but I've been working on this long enough. I can't remember now.
Come on.
Sounds good.
Also, did you get, were you able to finish the Ashley piece of this about the geotech report and the justification and so forth?
I meant to get that to you, so I still need to get that section to you because I think Ashley did come up with the justification for that piece in an earlier document.
And it'd be important that David and Julia looked at that detailed piece because I recomposed some of those justifications because we didn't have them and they may be in our minutes somewhere, but I just went back and kind of dredged them up out of the back of my memory and composed something that might be fairly new, compared to what's actually in the minutes that we used as a justification months ago. So I want to make sure everybody's comfortable with that.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't think I sent that to the group in the latest email. I sent this document, but not the document with the longer justification.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be interested to see how everybody feels about that longer document.
Okay. So the next council meeting where David and Tim could present this is the September 10th meeting. So, and David, you're saying to send out the document with justifications to the team, to the tree board.
Before the next meeting. So you're saying, Lauren, can you hear me?
It's still pretty hard to.
Yeah, I didn't understand you, David. Yeah, it's odd.
I think he's typing it out. Sorry, guys, for the technical difficulties. But yeah, maybe if we send out the longer document with justifications, then we can make sure to have everybody's feedback by a certain date.
Yeah, that would be good. Hopefully we'll get a thumbs up on that, but if we want to make sure we do.
Yeah. And then, yeah, and I can, David asked if I can get you guys on the agenda for that September 10th meeting, and I can definitely work to do that. So.
Where does that fall in regard to Labor Day? Do you know? Is that?
Labor Day is the 5th, I believe. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong month.
No, it's the 7th.
The 7th.
It's
So
really late Labor Day.
yeah.
Okay.
And then the September 10th is that same Thursday. So
Oh, okay. I should be available for that then.
Mhm.
I was worried I'd be out of town.
So
Lauren,
yes.
would you please send those 2 documents to me too?
Yes.
I'm sure I have them in notes that I compiled, but I'd like to see the final outcomes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sounds
Yeah, they're
good.
pretty important. We want to make sure they're all, copacetic for all of us before they go to the council.
Yes. Okay, so maybe if we send that out, and let's see, it looks like David is gonna try and rejoin and see if that helps. So he'll be back in a little bit. But let's say if we get everyone's edits by the 17th, then that will give, David, Tim, and I enough time to edit it and get it ready for the September 10th meeting. Does that sound good, David? Or I mean, Tim.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Well, I think we can go to the next agenda item. Let's see. New share agenda. And okay, so next is the Ivy Out summer competition. David, do you want to try your mic and see if it's working better now? Oh, looks like he's frozen.
Well, we had essentially 2 winners, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we had, for people who don't know, the Ivy Out summer competition was announced in the e-newsletter, and we had 2 people submit for the month of June or July. No, it was for the month of June, and then they're gonna get some prizes. And then I did receive 1 email submittal back in, let's see, on Saturday the 1st, and he said that they had already done it, so I think we could count that as a July submission. So I can send those pictures to the tree board and see if we want to work to give them a prize. And I know Richard had offered to donate some trees, so I still need to work with the 2 previous winners to coordinate which of those trees from Richard that they would like to receive. So
Yeah, you know that Richard is out of town now for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So I still need to work with the homeowners that won to see, here are your choices, which would you like? And then, I'll coordinate with Richard once he gets back too. So
Since we have Julia with us, Lauren, you and I went back and forth a little bit on what to suggest and how to manage a choice with the homeowners of a ground cover to replace the ivy, or at least to begin to replace the ivy. And I was thinking about that, and then I thought, well, why am I busying myself here? Julia probably deals with this all the time. And so the question, Julia, came up of recommending to the homeowners, and maybe, whether we provide the plants or provide them with a certificate to obtain some, to recommend, are there 1 or 2 native ground covers that have such a broad applicability and usefulness that might be good to recommend for replacing ivy that they tore out?
Well, the sort of standard, if you have sun, is kinnikinnick.
Okay.
But it doesn't do well in the shade.
Yeah, that was on our list that Lauren and I shared, would be, as a sun plant.
And then, good old sword ferns, they end up sort of acting as a ground cover. There aren't a lot. There's oxalis, and that's probably a good one for shade. It's not actually native to the Cascades, but it is native to the Olympics.
Yeah.
So, and that one spreads readily and will actually take over quite nicely.
Do you suppose that our contractor that's going to be working on those shaded slopes will choose one of those things, you think, as ground covers for replanting when they do some replanting?
You know, I'm looking less at ground cover in that area and more at shrubs and trees to shade out the area.
Okay.
You know, 'cause ground cover is difficult, would be very difficult to start in that environment because of the little creatures called mountain beaver.
Oh,
I think they might go after it. But in a homeowner setting, you know, it would be fine.
And it's hard to
oxalis and, you know, and people always ask me that. The other would be strawberry.
Strawberry, yeah, beach strawberry.
You know, and there are 3 native strawberries, and depending on sort of stress, if it's a droughty area, you want to use one. If it's not, you can use the other 2. So those are other couple of options.
Yeah.
And then there's something called Hydrophyllum tenuipes, which isn't totally a ground cover, but it doesn't get terribly tall. And you'll see that in the forests around here, like at Lord Hill, it's all over the place carpeting. So that would be another good one. I don't know how easy it would be to get that. I got a little bit myself this fall from a nursery, but ended up buying out all they had, which was only about 3 pots. So I'm not sure how generally available that one is. Kinnikinnick certainly is, and oxalis certainly is. And oxalis will do well in shade.
Well, I feel like it's hard to make a recommendation without seeing these sites that these people have been working on.
Well, you know, we could go out and take a look. I'd be happy to do that. If you want to refer them to me.
Oh, super.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, for what it's worth.
Yeah. Not that, you don't have anything else to do, Julia. That would be great. If you find that you're tied up with these other projects or something, I'd be happy to look too. But you have more experience with that than I do as far as restoration goes. So if you can do it, that'd be super.
Yeah, no, I will. They just have to, you know, give them my email, and they can be in touch with me, and we'll work something out.
Okay.
Is bedstraw a native plant in this area, or is that, I've got it all over my yard, but it's probably planted?
Oh, that's actually really controversial. There are native bedstraws. There's also invasive bedstraws. The one that grows really tall and reaches out and scrambles over everything probably is not native.
And the garden gallium that is used a lot is an Asian plant.
Is it?
Yeah. So, and another couple of options are something that's called Enchanter's Nightshade, which has just appeared in my forest. But it's not really a ground cover because once it dries out, it turns yellow and dies. And then there's the good old Spring Beauty, Clintonia. But again, that's a more ephemeral. I wouldn't really consider it a ground cover.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you see a lot of Tolmia and its other look-alike that with the maple.
Tolima.
Yeah, Tolima, right. Yeah, Tolima and Tolmia. You see those two quite a bit, but that does need to be areas that are somewhat moisture retentive and quite shady, I think.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. Well, we have to look at these places and see what the kind of situation is.
And they're not really ground covers.
Yeah.
They're more forbs than ground covers, but whatever.
Right. Well, thanks for your input, Julia. I'm glad you think you have the time to go look. I think that'll be helpful.
Yeah, no, that'd be fine.
Cool. So I can keep everybody posted on that and what I'm able to coordinate. If we want to move on to the new business, I did give everybody the update on how the next step for the applications, but anybody can feel free to email me if you have more questions or comments. So feel free to reach out. Do we want to move on to the street trees update? Or Tim, do you just want to say a quick word about the priority of it?
Well, what I'm hoping to do is I have a personal interest in the tree inventory too, and I hate to have my attention split between those two things. And I'd like to see some progress made on the tree inventory. And so what I had said to Lauren and also David when we had an agenda setting meeting was, I'd like to make the tree inventory a priority for helping Gordon if I can, rather than worrying about street trees. But as an aside, and I've forgotten now, one of our applicants lives in an area there up by the King County border where the old Aldercrest is, that I'd like to see some street tree activity up in there. So in thinking about street trees, I keep eyeballing that area up by 195th and 207th or whatever it is, that whole section up in there, thinking about trees for up there. But it would be nice, and it would be nice to have a contact there who could be kind of a, I don't know, a bit of a neighborhood coordinator, I guess. So, but as I say, I'd like to make the inventory a bit of a priority for me over the street trees, if that's not disappointing to other members of the board.
Well, I do think it's, I mean, you've pretty much spearheaded the street trees, I guess, with Carl for a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing it, I certainly would hope we could find someone else who would be able to take it on. If one of the new members, because I think, that's something that's extremely visible. And I think it's important to be able to show concrete things to residents. I mean, I know I've been to meetings, this was early on in the tree board, saying, well, you guys aren't doing anything.
Yeah.
But if you can point to trees that are planted, people don't see that the tree canopy has been evaluated. They don't see the tree inventory. They don't see the permits and such, but they do see trees. So I think that, it was great that you got the trees up in Sheridan Heights that you did. And I think it's important to continue with that because it is visible and it is something the tree board can point to that's concrete.
Well, we had the, what I thought was going to be an opening that would smooth the way for another project at the, was it 12 Degrees North development there, Lauren?
Mm-hmm.
But there's currently some, there's some responsibilities that have to be ironed out with the developer about who's going to maintain and replace the trees that are there, some of them are looking poorly. So, and there may be an opportunity there in the future, but it's not coming up this fall. And I don't know when that situation will get ironed out so that we know if there's trees that have to be replaced and so on there, which would be good to do because the residents there have made queries about it, I guess. Is that right, Lauren? Have there been some queries from residents?
Right, yeah. So right now the HOA and the developer and us are trying to figure out, who's responsible for making sure that the trees that are not doing so well right now are either replaced or, maintained in a better way so that they can survive. So yeah, so it's kind of a to be determined if that is a spot for potential new street trees or not. So we'll just keep you guys posted.
Well, I have a lot of enthusiasm for taking on a project where there's already been queries from the homeowners about, can we have some trees? It's like, oh yeah, great. Then I know, there's not a lot of convincing or arm twisting that has to go on. Now, there are still a lot of tree sites in Sheridan Heights that are open that don't have trees, where I suspect some people, they simply forgot to respond to our notice about having trees put in there and so on. So there's some other opportunities there. Carl probably would be happy to help again. And as I say, this completely new area in a way of Lake Forest Park that's up along the north boundary there. If I could make some connections there for organizing a street tree planting, then that's something we could do too. I mean, I could manage to do that and still be of some help to Gordon if, I had some kind of a neighborhood, someone who was an advocate who lived in the area where the trees were going to be planted. And that may still happen. So I'm, I'll keep my eyes and ears open about that.
So Tim, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. I apologize for dropping off. So why don't we do this? Why don't we keep street trees updates on the agenda?
Okay.
And then, as new board members come on, maybe perhaps there might be somebody who's interested in spearheading that agenda. And of course, Tim, any involvement that you want to continue to do with that, obviously you can, right?
Yeah, well, we're going to come up against, we have a timeline issue developing, and that is street tree orders for the fall. Last year, we put in the orders probably mid-August. I think there was a deadline there for the re-wholesaler to acquire what we needed. So, I mean, and we could still make connections with them and order trees. It's just that they, when they come, may forestall doing a project from this fall till next spring, which is a little less than ideal. But again, if we're in an area where there are people who are advocates that want the trees and will look after them, then we could do some in the spring also. So yeah, and I guess Julie, I'm not saying I don't want to do any more street tree planting. I was just thinking for the time being, while the inventory is sort of on our agenda, to try to get something going with that too.
So can I ask, do street trees sort of fall into this weird planting strip situation where the homeowner is sort of responsible for them but doesn't own them?
Lauren?
Yeah, that's correct. So it would be trees. When we say street trees, we mean trees in the right of way or
Right.
The planting strip. And so that's why it's important through the project to get the homeowners buy off, as like they're excited about this tree. They want to help it grow and help it survive into a healthy tree, and maintain it. So yeah, that's an important part of the program for sure.
Okay.
And there's a perspective on this that we can alter, and that is that street trees always speak of planting strips, tree lawns between sidewalks and curbs. And of course, Lake Forest Park, the bulk of it is not sidewalked and curbed. So we're looking at, using trees in the right of way. And the right of way can be somewhat vague in terms of where it is in a particular area of Lake Forest Park, but it does offer opportunities to do street tree plantings that could be differently impactful and unorthodox compared to other places, and make for a whole new approach to doing street tree plantings. And I find that exciting to me. And so the idea of doing a street tree planting that is different, new, maybe uses new kinds of trees and new configurations in a street right away where there's no sidewalks or curbs, could be fun. It could be innovative. We could use different kinds of trees if there's no power lines, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Should we move forward?
Yep.
Okay. Front lines with the tree board. Anything, Julia, Tim, anything that you want to share that we haven't already talked about?
Nope. I can't think of anything.
Mm-mm. No, me neither.
Okay. So Lauren, how about you?
Yeah, I think the data that I shared earlier is pretty good. And then I was able to do the July and June reports, which I'll see if it's going to let me open. Yeah, here we go. So I'll just quickly do that. So for June, you can see that, I'll zoom in a little bit here. So we had about 12 permits or so, and they're, oops, sorry, I'm still getting used to navigating. So the two large projects are a garage addition, and there's just a lot of tiny trees that need to be removed. And then there's a new house going in across from City Hall at Bothell and Ballinger, where the fences, where the free speech signs are a lot.
Oh,
So
oh,
that's an empty lot that will have a home on it. And then everything else was pretty standard. And then we saw an uptick for July. We had about 19 permits. And the big ones here, oh, it looks like I didn't, oh yeah, there we go. So yeah, it's another new home across from Horizon View. Kind of a flag lot where the driveway goes down behind a few other houses. So it's probably not well known that it's a empty lot. And some, excuse me, someone's been trying to develop it since 2016, and they sold it to this new owner who wanted to kind of change the plans that were almost approved. So this is redoing there's a slight change in the number of trees being removed for that.
What's that number 4? Oh, landmark trees. I see.
Yeah, and as a reminder, landmark trees are trees over 24 inches, and then significant trees are trees between 6 and 24. And then we just, oh, go for it, Julia.
Right near my house, and I've investigated it when I saw that it was up for sale.
Correct.
And it is out of sight of the street. It's the the area that is developable. Say that again. Anyway, the area that can be developed is pretty minimal within the lot itself. So I'm not sure what trees they're taking down. I have a feeling it's mostly alder, and not, as my recall, that where they would put a house in, you didn't have to remove that many trees. And much of it is steep slope below there. So I think it's very steep slope.
That's correct.
So I'm just, it would be interesting to see what trees they're removing, what landmark trees they are. If it could be avoid removing those, it would be nice.
And normally, when you would see this many trees removed, it would require a public notice. But because the lot is so large, it's like over 100,000 square feet. They don't reach that other part of the threshold of requiring a notice, which is that the trees being removed make up more than 50% of the lot's canopy.
Right, okay.
So, but it will be noticed for the critical area for getting a reduced steep slope buffer. And if I recall correctly, part of the tree removal is to build a retaining wall that will kind of stabilize that sloped area that was created with fill. So
until we have an earthquake, in which case the whole thing will go sliding down the hill.
Gotta talk to the geotechs about that one, but yeah, those were
I harbor the same concern for my house because I'm sitting on fill.
Yeah, so that was the permit activity for the past 2 months. So.
Oh, Lauren, can I ask you a question? And this came up, I was just reminded of it. A neighbor was asking me about this the other day. Rain gardens in the city. Is there a special approach for rain garden development? You know, that kind of an area, but it's probably within the right of way. Would it be just a standard kind of right of way development permit, as though you were going to do a retaining wall or something there? Is it?
Yeah, it's a good question. We have had some homeowners in the past that, have a drainage ditch that's all vegetated with invasive plants, and they have to work closely on a case-by-case basis with the Public Works Department to make sure that what they're doing, is not going to interfere with any of the utilities in the area or the functionality of the drainage ditch. But we don't have any like rain garden incentive program like I know Seattle does, or Seattle Public Utilities does, or anything like that. So we don't have anything formal, but it would have to go through a permit process if they wanted to redesign, their drainage ditch along the street.
Has there been talk of an incentive program or of any sort? I see it as something that could be, partner well with the rest of Lake Forest Park's, green initiatives and things.
Yeah. Mark, you may be able to speak more to historically, but not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Or any incentive.
Well, I can speak to it because when I built this house 9 years ago, I installed a rain garden as, just part of the landscaping. I had big equipment there for other purposes. I was able to dig it out in about an hour. And at that time, there was quite a push to encourage rain gardens all through the city. I think mostly by the Stewardship Foundation. If you may recall that, Mark, I don't know. But I haven't heard much about it since. I know that the rain garden was put in down by Bank of America. But there was a push for it, and I think that's quieted down. I think that was sort of almost citywide or region-wide to put in rain gardens, and I haven't heard as much about it recently. Maybe it's because I'm not paying attention to that, having already dealt with it, or maybe because there's just not as much talk about it. I don't know. But there was quite a bit of impetus back in, I think, 2012. And actually, my house was put on the Lake Forest Park garden tour specifically because I had a rain garden at that time.
It may be that generally speaking, Lake Forest Park is better vegetated than most other suburbs. And so the thinking may be that a rain garden is somewhat moot, I guess, compared to someplace like, Ballard or something where there's very little vegetation of any sort.
We used to have a mini grant program that was through the Environmental Quality Commission. They were small grants, and there weren't really ever too many of them, probably half a dozen or 8 of them over the period. But I think some of them were for assistance in bioswale activity.
Yeah.
It's the kind of project if they're, that the one down by City Hall was funded by the King Conservation District.
Oh.
I'm sorry, not King Conservation District, by the Waterworks grant. I think there's potential there for, if there were a couple of homeowners that wanted to put in a proposal, it might have to be done through the auspices of somebody like the Stewardship Foundation, or maybe even the city.
Yeah.
But I think there could be some assistance. It would take some work to figure out, I guess, and we know the people there to talk with about whether it's a likely type of or maybe even KCD. I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting. Good.
But yeah, that's all I had for Frontlines.
Okay. By the way, Tim, you might talk to Jean Reed with the Stewardship Foundation. I know that she was a huge advocate for what you're talking about. So
Okay.
Rain gardens.
Rain gardens. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, rain gardens. Yeah. I see it on Facebook. I can chat with you there.
Okay. So agenda for next meeting. For sure, we want to talk about the tree inventory,
Mhm.
the tree canopy.
Oh no, it's happening
There we go
again,
again.
David. When we thought, oh. But
do we need to have on the agenda anything about an impending report to the council then?
Yes.
Yes. The code changes and so on. Just.
Oh yeah, David, that's a good point in the chat. You mentioned the chair and vice chair elections.
Oh yeah.
So.
If yeah.
Yeah, and it's up to you guys if you guys want to do it with the current board members or wait until new members are there. So, yeah, and then I think we can keep everything on the agenda. Yeah, and then you said term limits for current members. That's a good one.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I think mostly everything from the agenda today can stay. So.
All right. Yeah. and the usual suspect topics too, the built-ins.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Julia, anything else you can think of for the agenda?
No. A
Okay.
report on what I'm doing.
Yeah, we'll keep the
An
updates
update
there.
on that.
So, Tim and Julia, do you guys want to make a motion for adjourning?
Yes, I move we adjourn.
Could I ask one more question, please, before you?
Yeah, of
Certainly.
course.
Certainly.
Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I didn't make any note for the item up above, preparation for the tree inventory. Was that just kind of on hold until some of the main characters are back in town or something?
Correct. Yeah. So Gordon would usually provide the update for that, and we'll probably have more details on that at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, and then
I move we adjourn the meeting.
I second the
Awesome.
motion.
All right.
and David approves, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, just thanks to all the potential new board members for joining us, and feel free to reach out to myself, Tim, Julia, or David if you have any questions, and I will be in touch. So yeah, and with that, everyone's welcome to go.
So long, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. I had a quick question, Lauren.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know if those environmental mini grants are still available?
Not to my knowledge. I don't think so. At least I haven't heard of them still being available.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe Danelle or Corey might know too. So
I thought they were. I just thought they weren't really promoted anymore.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for joining.
You bet. Bye.
David, did you want to discuss anything further, or all set? Oh, should we schedule a meeting next week to, yes. So is there, I know Tim's not here anymore, but is there a time that would work well for you that you want to put out there? And I can meet with, and I can send that out to Tim and see if he's available. Thursday around 4. Okay, sounds good. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but I think it still was a great meeting. So, bye.